Welcome to Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton, where we equip pastors to take their churches from declining to thriving by pointing them to a new future and a new hope. Join us weekly for encouragement and practical advice in your pastoring journey.
Hey, this is Mark Clifton. This is Mark Hallock. This is Revitalize and Replant. This is Warner Road Baptist Church in Kansas City. And Dan Hurst isn't with us because he's working, doing some voiceover work today. Normally we have Dan here. Those of you who are listening on the normal podcast platform, thank you for listening. Please subscribe. And every time you subscribe, then an angel gets his wings. And if you want to watch us in person, you can do that. You got to go through the paywall. No, not really. We don't have
if you want to,
if you
which
want to.
is
all you got to
questionable.
do, just go to my Facebook page or Church Replanters Facebook page.
Yep.
And if you don't know what Facebook is, ask your grandparents because they're on there looking at cats. So anyway, go to Facebook, and we're actually showing these few episodes on Facebook. So you get to see how absolutely wonderful we look on Facebook. And you get to see the main hall at Warner Road Baptist Church.
That's right.
And they call it the main hall.
And it's awesome.
I love that. They don't call it the sanctuary, the auditorium. They call it the main hall. That's great.
Love it.
Okay, so we're going to talk real quickly today. We're going to try to do this one in good time.
Okay, here we go.
Because it's a big one. It's an important one.
It's a big one.
It is. How do you handle ruckus business meetings?
Oh, boy.
Now, some of you out there, you don't have ruckus business meetings anymore. Some of you out there, you have one or two business meetings a year.
What? Okay, hold on. Let me interrupt.
Yeah.
What do you mean by a business meeting?
I mean the historically Southern Baptist churches every month, usually the second Wednesday of the month or something, would have they called it a business meeting. They didn't even call it like a family church meeting. It was a business meeting where you managed the business of the church.
Okay.
And every month you came together and you heard, first of all, you read the minutes from the previous meeting. It was all done by Robert's Rules of Order, except nobody had a copy of Robert's Rules of Order. And there was no our parliamentarian anywhere within 5 miles of the church, all right? But anyway, he was still, supposedly, we went by Robert's Rules of Order. And so you read the minutes of the previous meeting because there would be a church clerk there who would take some semblance of minutes.
Okay.
And you would read them, and then you would approve the minutes as read.
Yes.
You would read them. You'd have to read them out loud. Now, sometimes they might say, just go over the minutes, and then you don't have to read them. But technically, you would approve the minutes as read or approve the minutes as printed. Yeah. And then you would hear reports from the Flower Committee, the Benevolence Committee, the Evangelism Committee, all those that weren't there and didn't give reports anyway.
Right, sure.
But then you would hear the big reports, which was the board of the Finance Committee.
Yeah.
And so generally they would give you some sort of a piece of paper that would could even have every check written and what it was spent for.
Really?
It could be. In a smaller church, it wouldn't be unusual to show every expenditure that month, how much money came in, how much money went out, show where the designated funds were, just a financial report, right? Mm-hmm. Then you might hear from the Building and Grounds Committee about how the air conditioner was going under and there was a roof leak and, whatever. So we hear about the Housing and Grounds Committee. You might hear from the Personnel Committee. There might be some issue there. And then you would go, are there any old business we need to take care of left over from last time, and then any new business. And, it depends on the church governance, but sometimes church councils could bring a motion to the church and it would be accepted. We're going to have a revival on these dates, or we're going to have a youth conference on these dates. And basically, a lot of times in a Southern Baptist church, historically, the church voted on about everything. Mm-hmm. The church council or deacons, they might bring to the church, we would like to do this, but it's like Wednesday night business meeting. Who's for it? Who's against it? Yeah. And also, does anybody? We'd have this, time of discussion. We're going to have a youth conference. Anybody have, who would like to speak about that? When somebody might say, well, last time we had a youth conference, they burned the church down. We shouldn't do that again. Or probably what they'd say is, well, I know we had a youth conference years ago and somebody got beat up and we don't want to do that again. And, so you get into all that. So that's a church business meeting.
Okay.
It wasn't usually much edifying in a church business meeting. And in fact, my mother, when we had business meetings, my dad was a pastor. And we never had a real raucous one, but I know on the Wednesday nights when we had church business meeting, my mother tended to be sick on those Wednesday nights. And she'd say, Harry, I don't think I feel like going tonight. And he'd say, Fern, why not? My head hurts. I've been having this backache. And my mom would just say, I don't want to go to business meeting. This is what she'd say, because you never know what's going to happen at a business meeting.
You don't,
and by that, she didn't mean the Holy Spirit could break out and the Shekinah glory could come down.
That's right.
She meant brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so could. Let me give you a good example. All right? I know we got to hurry. But, for example, my mother was the preschool director of our church. And back in those days, they had a speaker in the preschool room so you could hear the sermon. Okay. Some of you may have that. I'm sorry if you do, but you shouldn't. Yeah. Because, first of all, if you're with the children, you need to be with the children. All right? You need to be focused on the kids, not trying to focus on the kids and listen to a sermon. You can listen to the sermon later. All right? The kids need to know that you're focused on them. That's a whole other topic for another day. So my mother worked with the preschool committee and the church council and the deacons to get them approved to remove the speakers from the preschool area so that during the worship service, the preschool workers were focused on the children. Okay? Wednesday night.
Oh boy.
By motion makes by the church council on the approval of the deacons and the preschool committee that we remove the speakers from the preschool room. Boom.
Oh man, the bomb goes off.
The bomb goes off. Well, you know who put those in? Brother so-and-so put those in the workers could hear the sermon. And you know what? They voted to leave the speakers in.
They did.
So what's that do to the preschool committee, the church council, the deacons, the problem with business meetings is the most carnal, unprayed up church member in those situations could override anything. Yeah. And even though they might not have the votes to override it, people might say, well, you know what? If Carl's going to be upset about that, he's never going to be quiet about it.
Yeah.
I've got enough tension in my life right now. I don't want tension in the church.
Right.
So if it's going to make him mad and he's going to get some people mad and riled about it, let's just don't do it.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't do it.
That's right, because they don't want to deal with it.
The problem with business meetings is that people sometimes feel like their voice needs to be heard, even though they're not informed on the topic.
No, that's good. Okay, so in light of that then, what would just be, from your experience, and I'll pipe in too, but you have a lot more experience in this, what would be some keys to leading an effective, non-drama-esque business meeting?
Really,
what are some things you would say?
I think if you're going to have the regular, either quarterly or monthly business meeting that's supposedly run by Robert's Rules of Orders, stick with Robert's Rules of Orders. It keeps it from getting out of hand. You have someone speak for it, then someone has to speak against it. You can't have 4 people speak against it all at once. And someone who's speaking against it can't start talking about something that happened in a meeting 3 years ago about something else.
Right. It's got to stay on the topic.
Right. So I was the interim of pastor one time of a church that were having some contentious business meetings. And so they were bringing up an issue, and someone spoke against it. Instead of speaking against that issue, he began to talk about something that happened 3 years ago that was similar. And the moderator didn't know what to do. Yeah. And so, and then someone else just stood up and started saying, well, that's not how it really happened. You weren't there. And someone else stood up and said, well, yeah, it was how it happened. So even though I'm not the moderator and I'm just the interim pastor, I did get up and take the microphone. And I said, look, y'all just got to sit down. You can't do this. This is not an open air meeting. This is a business meeting by Robert's Rules of Order, and what's on the floor is a motion to do this, and you cannot speak. We can say anything we want. No, you can't. That's the whole point. And so I think if you don't have some guidelines, if you're going to have these kinds of public meetings, it can get out of hand, and you got to say, no, we're only speaking to this motion. So get a copy of Robert's Rules of Order, have your moderator read it. I don't know whether the pastor should be the moderator or not. It depends. Sometimes you can have a moderator who's not a very strong person and he doesn't really want to stand up to those kinds of things. In that case, maybe the pastor's better to do it. On the other hand, people can pick on the pastor for doing it. It'd be great if you had a layman or laywoman who was a moderator, lay person who was a moderator, and that person could really manage the meeting so it doesn't get off track. That's number one.
That's good.
Number two, please go in with a positive vision and make sure that you've developed consensus among people before you bring it. If you sense that it's going to be contentious, don't bring it. I mean, don't bring something if you know it's going to be 49-51. Don't wait until it's different and find ways to build consensus behind the scenes and build consensus with other people.
Man, that's good.
Make sure your deacons and your leadership are on board. Don't make it a test of your leadership, a test of your faith, their faith in you rather. So find ways to build consensus, especially wrestling on these contentious things before you bring it. And be brave enough to say, we're not ready to bring it yet.
Yeah.
It's just not there yet.
That's just wise.
That's just wise.
Well, and I think that's so good, man. And I think about what we've learned over the years at Calvary is, and we use Robert's rules, but we have found it is so important at those meetings, and we don't call them business meetings anymore. We call them family meetings or family gatherings.
I would suggest you change the name.
Yeah, and part of that, well, go ahead, sorry.
No, because business meeting means like, we're not doing normal church now. Now we're doing business.
Yeah, right.
So I can say kind of whatever I want. But a family meeting, we're all family.
That's right, yeah.
I think you need
Most
to change
people don't get pumped about a business meeting. Exactly. I mean, some guys do, and they're the ones you got to be careful with. But a family meeting, and what we've learned over the years is the importance of, as you said, leading that meeting on the front end with vision, with excitement about what God's doing, sharing stories, testimonies of what the Lord is doing. Like, especially if you're a lead pastor, man, God is moving in your church.
Yeah.
And this is a chance for you to be with the core members of your church, not to argue and fight about, but to lift up the Lord in a unique way that's different than worship, to share stories of what he's doing, casting vision for where you're going, all these kinds of things. I think casting vision for what it means to be a unified church, what it means to honor the Lord together. So it's not just about the meeting. And put it this way, if you don't lead on the front end with that kind of tone and intentionality, don't be surprised if that business meeting blows up.
Right.
Because you're part of your job. Only the Holy Spirit can ultimately warm hearts, but he uses us as leaders to help get them there.
Okay, so let's revive. What do you call it?
Review.
Thank you.
There you go. I knew where you were going.
Let's review with this. If you're going to do a Robert's Rules of Order business meeting, do Robert's Rules of Order so you can keep it on track and it doesn't come off the rails. Be positive and be optimistic about your church and use it and call it a family meeting and try to change the sort of the tenor and the context of it so it feels more warm and family and inviting. I would also, I'll get to another one in a minute. And then I said, build consensus.
Yeah, do ahead of time.
If you know it's going to be contentious, build consensus ahead of time and be wise enough, have tactical patience to know maybe this isn't the time to bring this. And just because we don't bring it now doesn't mean we're not going to bring it.
Yeah.
Just because we don't change this now doesn't mean we're not going to change it. It just means, are you ready for this? The cure at this point is worse than the ailment. In other words, if we try to solve this problem, we're going to create a bigger problem than this one is. We just can't do it right now.
Yeah, that's wise.
And be careful about that. And then I would say also another one is begin your prayer meeting with singing, with worship, with prayer.
Yep.
Don't just walk in there and pass out the minutes. And don't just say a quick prayer. I mean, have them sing for a bit. Have someone share the gospel, share a brief, powerful devotional. Get Piper's little book, 50 Reasons Jesus Came to Die. And say, Jesus came to die to give us hope. And read the 2 or 3 paragraphs from that. And remind them we're here because Jesus came to die and he lived, and this is why we're here. I mean, really set that tone, if you would, in that.
That's right.
And then finally, if you've got they don't have to be deacons, they don't have to be elders, they don't have to be church council members, but if you've got some matriarchs and patriarchs in your church, spend some time with them and ask them to tell you about the history of business meetings. And let them tell you the ups and the downs. And you need to learn, I want to say this carefully, you need to learn where the minefield is in business meetings.
That's exactly right.
And let those people inform you about, now you don't want to go here unless this will happen, and this person might say that. Information is your friend. And then lean into some of these matriarchs and patriarchs and say, look, will you help me make sure that these business meetings are held in and they can do that. And if you ask them to and they understand what you want, maybe somebody stands up and starts kind of complaining about something and, how come I was in a business meeting one time, how come we put everything on colored paper? Isn't white paper cheaper? Y'all tell us we need money really bad. And, it's those kinds of things that drive a pastor crazy. First of all, don't overreact to that. In a business meeting, don't spend $20 on a 10-cent issue. Don't pounce back at him or anything. Just respond in love and kindness. We'll take a look at that. That's really thinking. Right. But also have these matriarchs and patriarchs. Maybe one of them could stand up and say, Bill, we've looked at that, and we really think it's best to do it this way. So you're not always the one doing that.
That's good.
So and finally, if there's going to be World War III in a business meeting, and some of us know that's going to happen.
It happens.
Don't be afraid to reach out, and these guys are your director of missions is going to hate me for this, but don't be afraid to reach out to your associational missionary.
Yes.
And say, look, brother, I need you to pray for me.
Yep.
And I maybe need you to be here.
And maybe even come.
Would you come to this meeting?
Yeah.
Because sometimes just having somebody else in there makes them sort of look at the way they're behaving.
That's right.
I know we got to go, but I got to tell you a story.
Okay.
So I was 20-some years ago, I was a state missions director in Kansas, Nebraska, and there was a church in Kansas that was at the point of splitting. They had all kinds of problems, and they were going to have a business meeting that was going to be the business meeting to end business meetings. All right. So the director of missions, a sweet man that I love dearly, he was going to go, and so he went, and he went, and when he got there, one of the contentious partners in this church had a tape recorder, and he was going to record everything. And the church had asked him not to do that. That they didn't want him putting out on tape everything that was said in this business meeting. And he said, "Well, I'm going to do it anyway." And the director of missions, my friend.
Oh man.
Those of you from Kansas and Nebraska, you don't mind me telling this story. It was more than 20, 25 years ago. His name was Les Arnold, and Les was the sweetest man in the world, and I loved him dearly. And Les was at this business meeting, and he told that brother, he said, "Now, brother, I need you to turn that tape recorder off because everybody in the church has asked us not to record this meeting." And he said, "Well, I'm not going to turn it off." And Les said, "Well, I think I may have to come and take it from you." And he said, "Bro, you ain't hoss enough to get this out of my hands." I said, "Les, what did you do?"
What did he do? How did you respond to that?
He said, "I let him record it."
I'm not messing with that guy.
I don't know what. I mean, if you don't think business meetings can't come off the rails, bro, you ain't hoss enough to get this out of my hands. Okay, we can laugh about it, but we shouldn't.
No, yeah.
Which, if you want to know out there why so many young men don't want to, they want elders and annual business meetings, that's another topic for another day.
That's right.
But many of them grew up in these situations where things like that happen. Yeah. But they don't have to.
Yeah.
If you do some of the things we said, you can make even a business meeting or a family gathering on a monthly basis. And basically, less is more. If you can move to quarterly, that's enough. If you're a church of 75 people or 50 people, you don't need to meet every month, every 3 weeks to do the business. Once a quarter is probably enough.
That's good. That's right.
And okay, we got to go. Thank you for being with us. Be sure to check us out and on Facebook. And subscribe, and maybe wait till the very end of this podcast after Dan is finished with his outro, and there might be something special for you there.
Thanks for joining us today on Revitalize and Replant. This podcast is brought to you by the North American Mission Board, where we help dying or struggling churches regain health for the glory of God and the good of their communities. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. To learn more about becoming a replanting pastor or to explore resources about revitalization for your own church, visit churchreplanters.com.